BadBabaGU.
Yo, what is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. We've got our last video for the Divine set, or the Divine Order set card review. We're going over the neutral cards, and I got the newest member of the Cujo team, SamBam, here with me today. How's it going, SamBam?
It's going pretty good. Glad to be part of the team, and thanks for having me on.
No problem, my man. Glad to have you. And so we're just gonna start with the 1-mana cards and work our way down the line. And the first card we're gonna be looking at today is Beam Sentry. This is a 1-mana 3/1 Atlantean, and his roar effect deals 1 damage to your opponent's god. I think I've seen this played in some of the Slayer decks. It seems like a good way to get Frenzy for 1 mana. So, what are your thoughts on this card here, Sam?
As far as 1 mana cards go from the Divine Order set, I'd say this is probably the best neutral 1 mana. Yeah, like you said, I've seen it in the Slayer decks. It synergizes really well with Out of Its Misery also. So you can get the Frenzy, and then you can also draw something better if that's not going to work out. That being said, what's the 1 mana 3/1 Nokvi something? Nokvi Raider maybe? I think yeah, it's either the Blitz or the Frenzy, but
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Might be Nokvi Warrior.
Nokvi Warrior, I think you're right. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a solid card. It's a good substitute.
It seems pretty solid. I like that it has an Atlantean tribe. Now I don't know if you would run this in an Atlantean deck, but you definitely could. It's got those synergies.
Yeah. I haven't seen many Atlantean war decks, but maybe Atlantean Deception, maybe.
Yeah, Atlantean Deception has always been a strong archetype. I know I've experimented a little bit with Atlantean Magic as well, and it's a fun deck to play.
Okay, cool, yeah. I'll have to look at your deck list for that.
Cool. Let's move on to this next one. We've got the Planetar Acolyte. This is a 1-mana 2/2 Aether card, and this one has the Blessed effect. So, what are your thoughts on this one?
Actually, I think I want to say Squid. He showed me his Aether Magic deck, and I'm pretty sure he runs this in the 1-drop slot. It's actually pretty nuts. If you can get 9 favor on turn 1, like well, your opponent can only get 1 favor for Face It or like a favorable trade, you can snowball pretty well, and it kind of gives you Sanctum control, which is nice. That being said, there are stronger 1-drops, but I think the tag is really what makes it. The tag, and then Blessed can just, if you high roll with Blessed, like it can just be a really strong opening play. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. And I've always been a fan of the favor decks, like with the Ghostly Chariot. And I think with a lot of these Blessed cards, it makes all those kind of decks like a little bit better. Whether it's like the Ghostly Chariot or even Pious Giant. And I don't think we've seen too many of them in the meta, but I think there's definitely room for them.
Oh yeah, I feel like Pious Giant kind of fell off with Onslaught, right? Because you can blitz like a 2-mana creature and kill your 6 mana, right? Plus 20 favor creature. But with that gone, like I wonder if we'll see some more favor decks kind of coming out. That'd be fun.
Yeah, and also the Pious Giant gets Ward 2 if you get the favor.
That's right.
So with Ward 2.0, I mean, there could be something there.
True.
And there's one more card, we're gonna get to it later, but it also benefits off like playing Blessed cards. So I think this card is like all around pretty good. I mean, it's not something you'd put in every deck, but an Aether Magic list, or a list that with the Ghostly Chariots or Pious Giant where you're trying to get favor, like it definitely seems good.
Yeah, for 1 mana, that's a lot of value.
For sure. Alright, now this next card, Skeletal Hoplite. This one's a 1-mana 1/1 with armor 1, and this one has the Nether tag. The stats look kind of weak, but I know Death has some nether synergies. I had Virtual DD come on the channel last week, and we did the Death cards, and we kind of dived into a lot of the nether synergies. And this one, I mean, it has potential because of that, but the stats just seem so weak on this one.
Yeah, like I mean, what is it? Blood Ritual just kills it, right? You're just like giving, maybe taking a turn off early from a death deck, but and I guess I could see it working out more in an Enraged War deck because the 1 armor. Turn 1, you can drop it and then pip into your 1 mana God power, and maybe start trying to snowball it, kind of giving it Exalted Hermit kind of stats. But that being said, yeah, the 1/1, I personally wouldn't run it. But the Nether tag is good. It's just the stats are a bit rough.
Yeah, and I mean, because of the tag and the armor, there are some synergies, but it's like there's a lot of conditions that need to be met before it even becomes like decent. So
yeah,
I think this would probably be a pass for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one.
Okay, next we've got Amazon Spellcatcher. This is a 2-mana 2/2 Amazon, and it also has Blessed and Ward. So kind of like the Aether card, I think this has a lot of potential. It's got the Ward on there, it's got the Amazon tag, the Blessed, and so it fits into all of those archetypes. I don't know, have you seen this card played much, or?
I have actually been playing it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Funkmaster Hutch put together a pretty nice Amazon list, and then the Mudman kind of chopped it up a bit, and I've been playing that version. But yeah, they both have Amazon Spellcatcher in the list, and the Amazon tag is just so strong. It's like, yeah, just like the buff cards for Amazon are so strong, especially in nature. Like turn 5 or turn 4, you can pip into Morty's Daughter, and you get 3/2 on top of this warded creature. Yeah, it can snowball very quickly, and the Blessed tag is huge, and having Ward is just really nice if you can get it behind a front line. It kind of like allows you to stick the Amazon that you need, that you can buff the next turn, and it's not too expensive. I think it's a great card. Yeah, it's definitely one of the better neutral cards in the set.
Okay.
In my opinion, yeah, I really like it.
Cool. And shout out Funkmaster Hutch. The Amazons making a comeback, and there are so many cards that have those kind of synergies that will buff up your Amazons. And you know, I think this is a cool card. You could run it in like a favor styled archetype, obviously in the Amazon one like you're talking about, it's really good. And Ward 2.0 is not to be overlooked.
Yeah, not at all. And like you said, the Blessed tag also, like you can pip it out on turn 1 if you kind of get a bad draw, and yeah, you can get the favor, right? You can just do a lot with Blessed. But I like it.
Cool, me too. Next we've got our first legendary, and this is Avraxis the Gamekeeper. So this one, it's kind of confusing, but I'll read it out real quick. So this one also has Blessed, and its roar effect, each player gains a random amount of favor, up to 10, and now you deal 5 damage to the god belonging to the player who gained the most, or to each god in case of a tie. And so it's pretty much, you play this, you get the Blessed effect, and then it's like a coin flip to do the 5 damage. And other than that, it's a 1/1 guild. So I think the only reason you're playing this is to try to do the 5 damage, probably.
Yeah, it's a fun card, and you could definitely build some pretty memey decks around it. But like trying to run it in a weekend ranked situation, I don't think it's gonna make it. But it is a fun card. Yeah, I'd like to to play it a couple times, but I don't think I'm going to put it in anything, to be completely honest.
Yeah, and this card was receiving a lot of hate too. I think a lot of the people, at least in Mythic, they're not really fans of like the RNG kind of like a roll the dice mechanics, and that's exactly what this card is doing.
Yeah.
So, and I know this shows up in the Sanctum too. Sometimes the Blessed effect will give you that effect where it puts like 3 Avraxis in the Sanctum. So, I mean, there are situations where you're like 5 off lethal, and if you want to roll the dice, I mean, it's got that.
Yeah, from the Sanctum, I'd pick it up from the Sanctum to RNG my way to lethal, but I don't know if I would actually put it in a deck unless I were just having fun. But
yeah, I don't
love
know.
The Bless tag.
I don't know if I'd
Risky.
ever play this one either.
Yeah, like I played a match, all 3 were in the Sanctum. My opponent pulled all 3 and won every single coin flip. It's like, yeah. So we don't go to the casino. We don't trust our 50-50s.
Yeah, I know, like, some people like that sort of mechanic, and it can be fun, but I think, like, when you're on the losing end of a coin flip and it costs you a game or something, it can be really frustrating because you don't necessarily feel like you were outplayed. It feels like you just got unlucky, and, like, I don't know if that's the kind of, like, vibe we need in this game.
Yeah, that being said, like, if you are on the losing end and you are losing and you're able to get those in the Sanctum and you win like 2 50-50s and get a W, like, that's definitely like a big feels good moment. But definitely your opponent's going to be salty. Like, there's
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right, RNG is rough.
Yeah, this card
unless it's on your side.
It's a salt dispenser.
Yeah, salt machine. Right. Yeah.
So, well, I don't know. It's an interesting card for sure. Let's keep
It's
on.
fun, right? But yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Let's keep on moving. We'll take a look at this next one here. We got the Larsenis Imp. It's 2 mana, 2/3 Nether, and the roar effect. If your opponent has a relic equipped, give +1/+1 to this creature. Now, if your opponent does have a relic equipped, that's gonna make this a 3/4 Nether for 2 mana, and those stats are really good. And I haven't seen this card played that much. It might be because after the Enduring Shield nerf, it seems like there's a lot less reasons to run relic removal, and there's not too many relics that are seeing a whole lot of play. But I don't know, this card seems pretty decent to me. What do you think?
I like it. I feel like it may be slept on. Like, the Nether tag is huge. I've actually played against it, against Death. I was playing Magic, and I had Palace Wand equipped, and I'm trying to keep that on all game. And I think it was turn 3. He was holding it, waiting for me to play weapon. He played it, and like a 3/4 2-drop like feels bad. Like, playing against they're good stats, and it has a really good tag. The Nether tag, like you were saying, it synergizes really well with Death. I mean, what's the 2/3 with Frontline? It's a Viking. You can buy it from Sanctum. I don't know why, or both card names, but it's similar stats. It doesn't have Frontline, but like, even if you drop it down as like a plain 2/3, it's not the worst card. Like, there are worse 2-drops. And like, there's another tag, but I mean, like, if you can get it while your opponent has a weapon equipped, like, that's a lot of value for 2 mana. It's situational, doesn't belong in every deck, but I think it's a really interesting roar effect. I haven't seen a card like it. I like the card.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this card makes most sense in a Death deck, just so you can capitalize on the Nether tribe. But I mean, it seems pretty decent. Like, decent stats. It gets really good stats in the situation your opponent has a relic. So I mean, it seems like pretty good and fair to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, cool. All right, next we have one of everyone's favorite cards from the new set, the Bronze Gate. And this was nerfed recently, so now it's a 3 mana 2/3 structure with armor 1, It used to be 4 mana, or not 4 mana, 4 health. Now it's 3 health. But I think it's still pretty decent. Now that's 3 health, it kind of does. It's a little bit easier to remove, specifically with spells. I'm thinking of like Blight Bomb, a Star Shard Bolt. But it's probably still good, and I think people are still running this, right?
Yeah, I've been seeing it quite a bit. I don't know if it's people intentionally running it or they just haven't changed their lists yet because it just got nerfed. But it still feels strong, like but it's not like oppressive. If you like Canopy Barrage, like Star Shard, Blight Bomb, like you said, like those will all clear it, which is nice. But yeah, that used to be a nightmare. Like if you're running like a low curve zoo deck and you don't have like any hard removal, and you're just kind of like stuck. Yeah, I'm glad they took the health down because 4 was quite a bit. Still a good card, right? Armor's so strong. Like yeah, I think it's still viable. It may not get as much play, and it definitely doesn't belong in every deck like I feel like it was before. Like I'd run into Slayer War and they drop a Bronze Gate and it's like, why? Like what is this doing here?
Yeah.
So that'll be nice. Like maybe control decks still run it, but it won't be in every deck, which is seems healthy for the game.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. I think the card's in a good spot now. It doesn't feel completely oppressive, but it's still like good value. So I like what they did there with this one. Okay, now we've got, oh boy, how do you say this, Sam? Sammunozian?
That sounds like a Sammunozian Infiltrator.
Yeah. So it's a 3 mana 2/3 Olympian, and the roar effect states target an enemy creature that costs 3 or less sets health equal to its strength. So that's kind of interesting.
Okay, so there is a light card called something Monk, Gentle Monk maybe, which is the same stats, but it's 4 mana, and it's any creature. So like this is 1 mana less, and like the fact that it has to be 3 or less just is, I don't feel like you're really going to generate that much value from this card. It is incredibly situational. I didn't even know what I've never really looked at the effect. Yeah, I don't. The Olympian tag is great. I feel like that's the best thing about the card. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like too situational for me, and 3 mana is probably too steep for this as well. I mean, I can think of a couple situations where this would be good. Like if your opponent played a Pyramid Warden, you could play this and then set its health to 2. Or,
yeah, that's.
Yeah, I guess maybe one of the other front lines, like the Portable Fortress, but it's not like you see those played a whole lot, so it just seems incredibly situational, and I think for 3 mana, you could probably play something better.
Yes, I agree.
So, yeah, I don't know about this one.
Yeah, maybe if they bump the cost from 3 or less to maybe no condition like that, where it just sets health equal to strength, that could be great, right? Like against Poly, or just the Tree Fort from there's just a bunch of creatures that are higher mana that have a really high base health. So maybe that would help off it, but that might make it too strong. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that would probably be a fair change. But there's also the Olympian tag on this, and I don't think we've yet to see a deck that's done really well that's capitalized on Olympian synergies. And well, I mean, we know they're there. There's a ton of cards that have like buffs and stuff for Olympians, or if you have Olympians in your void. So
yeah,
I don't know, maybe you'd run this in a deck like that, but I just don't think that like formula's been cracked where anyone's found a list that does well.
Yeah, I don't think so. I actually picked up Hercules, son of Zeus. I think is like the full name of the card, before the set came out, because I thought there's like a bunch of new Olympian cards, and maybe but yeah, I I gave up on that one. It's fun to mess around with, but I don't think it's ever something I'd take to a weekend ranked event.
Yeah, for sure. Let's keep on moving. This next one, we got the Strix Conscript. This is a 3 mana, 3/2 Anubian with armor 1. And the stats aren't terrible. It's got the armor, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much a 3 mana 3/3 with an Anubian tag, if you really look at it. This was the first diamond card I pulled, pack opening from the Divine Order set, so I wish it were better. That being said, for 3 mana, there's a lot that can kill it that costs less. It's not the worst card in the world, but I don't know if there's a whole bunch of Anubian synergies with just right. I know there's some like Death Rattle synergies with or Afterlife Effect synergies, but yeah, I don't know if this is getting play anytime soon.
No. And Versatile DD, he made like an interesting observation last week when we were going through the death cards. He said he felt like a lot of these cards were like filler cards, at least the ones with the tags, just to kind of fill out those like tribes. Like he was talking about, there was like a Death Viking card, and he was like,
oh yeah,
this is like a filler card where if you play that like Odin's White Raven, that card that you delve a Viking, this is like a filler card to fill out that sort of thing. So
okay,
and I feel like a lot of these cards, that's what they're doing, just like throwing tags on like random kind of like junkier cards, but
to try and make it a bit better. Yeah,
just try to fill out the tribes maybe.
okay, yeah, Nubian isn't the strongest tribe, and so like mediocre stats, not the greatest tribe. I actually played against it once yesterday. Someone had it in their deck, and it didn't do well. It died pretty easily. I think it was Star Shard Bolt, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. For a card like this to do good, it'd have to be receiving some sort of buff. Whether that's just like a regular buff card or a card that like specifically buffs Anubians or like brings Anubians back from the void. And we're just
yeah. Does Anubian have a lot of buff? I can't think
so,
of anything that buffs Anubians in particular. Yeah, but you're right. Like it needs to be played like with something else that buffs it.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe in future sets we'll see cards like this with specific tribe tags become like good in certain lists. But for right now, I think this is just a pass for me.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Someday. One more buff. My diamond will be. I'll be able to play it. Yeah.
All right. Let's take a look at this next one. This one's kind of interesting. The Covetous Cutthroat. This is a 4 mana 3/3 with the guild tag, and it says at the end of your turn, give +X to this creature, where X is the durability of your opponent's relic. So I don't know. You have any thoughts on this one?
I have never seen it played, and like I see it, and it's guild. It looks like maybe it belongs in Deception, but I mean, like, compare this to a Highborn Knight, where you have protected and ward and frontline. Like, this is just such a situational card. Like, if your opponent doesn't have a weapon equipped, or if they have a weapon that has 1 durability, I just don't see. Maybe if you played against a mage, or someone who can, like a Valka's Axe, someone who's like pumping their weapon up so you can't destroy it, like a Lysander's Spear, something like that, I guess it could be pretty good. That being said, really situational. Maybe like if you know your opponent runs a very specific deck, you might tech this in for that. That being said, probably not going to see it during ranked weekend. Still, it's interesting though, because it's every turn, right? At the end of your turn, yeah. So if they're pumping up a weapon that they want to keep using, whether for draw or buffing their creatures or yeah, just one of the ability effect weapons, I could see this being really strong because you don't want those to die, right? Like the whole point of them is to keep them going and get as much value. So it's not a horrible card, right? But it's definitely situational, and I like the card art, so I like it. Probably not going to run it. Maybe someday.
Yeah, me too. I agree. And typically, I like cards like this where they're like the design is like a specific tech or counter to a certain sort of play style. But I think unfortunately with this one, it's a little too specific. Where, yeah, I don't think it's gonna be ran all that much.
Yeah. It definitely punishes the leggy weapons from Divine or Trial of the Gods, though. I feel like this was meant specifically for those cards because, like, yeah, it's interesting and it's fun, but yeah, I think I'm gonna pass on not in weekend ranked.
For sure. Okay. Next we have the Dead Sentry. This is a 4-mana, 3/4 Anubian with Blessed and Frontline. So a 3/4 for 4 mana is not that great because there's like 3 mana core cards that are 3/4s, but you do get the Blessed and Frontline and the Anubian tag. But I think overall, like, I don't know if those are worth it.
I want to say, I may be mistaken. I want to say I saw Copper Pitch running this yesterday on his stream in a Anubian death deck. It's not horrible, and Anubian, they have a lot of like low cost bring back the dead. So like if you constantly bring back your 3/4 frontline, it's annoying. And the blessed tag is good. Yeah, like you're saying, there are plenty of core and neutral or core and welcome set cards, at least 3, right? That are 3/4 stats for 3 mana. It is an inexpensive frontline, but yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be running that one.
Yeah, again, I think this is gonna be one of those cards too that's kind of filling out a tribe, and right now Anubian just isn't it. But
yeah, they got the Sand Scorpion though. Maybe someday. Like they're like trying to make death worse but Anubian better. So I have to spend the weekend working on a Anubian deck that it's not terrible.
yeah, and that Sand Scorpion nerf kills me too.
I know that hurts my feelings. Yeah, no, I know you're like the premier board wipe death player. Like you've been playing board wipe death like as long as I've been playing this game, or close. But I mean, like even during like Onslaught, like just like all these different like metas and like
I've stayed true.
Yeah, right, Ramp Magic was OP, and you're just I didn't have the cards for it. Recently got them. Really enjoyed playing the deck. Super toxic. Hate playing against it. Yeah, and then they neutered it. They just took it out. And so it is what it is. It's probably better for the game. Running like an aggro deck and just like running into board wipe death, and then like turn 1 they pip out their Ava, and it's kind of like great. I curve out at 4 mana, so like I don't have any. I don't know. It's like, do I surrender now or do I just slowly? Yeah. Anyway, so
well, it's a whole new game recently with the changes.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at this next card. This is another interesting one. The Ogre Warlock. So it's a 4 mana 3/3 Mystic, and it has Ward, and then its Roar effect. Give +X/+X to this creature, where X is your spell boost. So this is, you'd probably play this on a Magic deck, right? I don't know why they just didn't make this a Magic card.
Right, yeah, like what other classes run spell boost?
None of them.
So like, you're right. Whenever I see a 4/4 with 3 health and 3 attack, like I just think of Highborn Knight and compare it. Like my brain just kind of like lines up the numbers. Ward is good, right? And okay, and it's a roar effect. So unlike the covetous cutthroat, this isn't going to be every single turn. It's only a one drop, right? So, or a single effect. So I don't know. It's, if it were every turn, like, and you played this with was it Stormspire? Like that could be pretty nuts. Like you could get out of control pretty quickly. But the fact that like it's very situational, like when you can play it, and like with how fast the meta is, trying to set something like that up, I just don't see it really getting a lot of play. I've actually never seen it played.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and it's almost like it could be OP, right? But like the fact that it's just a single roar, like instead of a end of this turn effect, I think that really keeps it from being as good as it could be. But it's interesting.
I agree. It does have ward too, but I think like at best this is probably gonna be like a 5/5 with ward at best.
I'm thinking turn 4 you drop your Street Conjurer, and then you pip out your Ogre Warlock, and you get a 4/4 with ward. And that's like my practical, like what you see at 90% of the time. But like you said, yeah, best case scenario, maybe you're able, but at that point it's just a win more card, right? It's like you already have your spell boost established, something hasn't died for at least a turn or two, and you're able, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, it does have potential to be buffed up a ton, like with that like legendary relic, but A, it takes a ton to set up, and B, at that point, like you said, it's just kind of like a win more thing. So
yeah, where like, so magic 4-drops, you have Worm Breath, which is really good. So like you already have to have a creature down to use your Scepter of Artistry to give it the +2 spell boost. So like why not just have a spell in hand instead of dropping what would be a 5/5? But yeah, you're maybe, I don't, the Mystic tag, there's not a lot of, I think of light when I think of Mystic,
Me too.
as far as like synergies. But I mean, you could put the Fumentari Researcher in any deck, so maybe I'm just being prejudiced. But I don't think I'm going to run it in my Magic deck anytime soon.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this next card, I was just talking about the Divine Archon. This is a 5-mana 2/2, but it's not really a 5-mana 2/2 because it's a blessed creature, and when you receive a blessing, give +2/+2 to this creature. So when you play it, it does the you like pick a blessed effect or whatever, and then it immediately buffs up to a 4/4, and then whatever blessed stuff you play after, it gives it the +2/+2 buff, where sometimes these can get really out of hand. And I know I had a game yesterday where the dude dropped 2 of these on me.
Oh man.
And they went crazy, man. He whipped me. And
okay.
So I think these are good.
Okay, what god was he running? Like what? I've never seen it played. What
I'll tell you. So I was playing Control Light, and he was playing what appeared to be a Control Light, but I think it was really a kind of mid-rangey like Blessed Light. I think these were his win cons.
I mean, it's interesting, it's creative, right?
Yeah.
The only time I have played against one of these is when someone dropped the 7-mana 7/7 Aether and dealt 1. So I've only seen it as a 5-mana 4/4. But yeah, I guess you're right. If you can get it going, it seems like 5 is a lot for 4/4.
Yeah.
And having to draw your blessed creatures, I could see like it becoming a dead card in your hand, maybe. But yeah.
So you'd have to play this. You'd have to play this on like 6 mana or maybe 5 in a pip. But like you'd play this and then pip out like a 1-mana blessed card, and then get it to like a 6/6.
Okay, 5-mana 6/6. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. And then after, you know, if your opponent doesn't kill it, then you can just keep on buffing it more and more. Because the dude I played against, he got one of his up to an 8/8, and the other one was at 6/6. And I was playing Control Light, which Control Light doesn't have. a whole lot of hard clears. So he ended up just killing me at that point.
Okay. Well, when I look at it, I think of the Undead Rhino. What is it? Decaying Rhino, which is a 6/6 for 4 mana, with like worst case scenario, it comes out as 6/5. So then also the Brazen Moose. It's like that's a 5 mana 6/6 with Blessed also, but it's confused with no upside.
True.
Seems like lining up the conditions to buff it. Like when you get it, like I could see it snowballing. But then it doesn't have a ward, so like there's a lot of yeah, I like it's not terrible, but I don't know if I'm gonna put it in my Aether deck. It seems a bit slow.
Yeah, it is slower. I think this also, like, you'd have to run a very specific list that makes this work.
Yeah. Like if I'm saving my 1-drops to buff my 5 mana, but then like the early game's like way faster than I thought it was going to be, so I use all my 1 and 2 drops trying to stay alive, and then like turn 5 comes and I have a 5 mana 4/4, and they drop their 4 mana 6/6 with a shield bearer to make it a 7/7. I guess maybe I'm being overly critical, but I think I may pass on the Divine Archon. Great card art though. Seems like a fun card, and it probably could work sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a unconventional type of card, but after my game last night, I was like, that made me want to experiment with it a little bit.
Right? I feel like it's 1 mana. Yeah, I feel like it's 1 mana away from being really good, or maybe 1 expansion. Like once there's more less cards to work with, instead of, because there's maybe like 20 tops, maybe 30, maybe more. But I feel like with maybe 1 more expansion, there'll be even more, and maybe it'll be broken at that point. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I do think you make a good point too, because if you're running this, you want to run other blessed cards, and then the other blessed cards usually don't have the best stats, so you probably are giving up some early game pressure if you run this type of thing. But you know, and I lost to it playing control, to where it's like my early game pressure is non-existent. So
yeah,
maybe that's why he whipped me so hard. But
yeah,
well, yeah, I just think it's like could be a fun card, like a different style deck to run, but I wouldn't call it meta by any means.
Yeah, I'd like to see it at 4 mana. If I feel like that's a bit more fair. Like a 4 mana that buffs to a 4/4. That's not crazy.
Yeah, it seems fair.
Yeah, I think 5's just a bit steep.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's take a look at this next card here. We've got another Olympian, and this one, the Phalanx Lieutenant, a 5 mana 4/1 with armor 2, which armor 2 does seem like quite a bit, but the fact it has 1 health, I mean, this thing is gonna die to Death's God Power, the Blood Ritual.
Yeah,
it dies to a lot of really cheap spells.
Yeah, a lot. The Olympian tag is good. Armor 2 is great, but a 4/1 for 5 mana, that's a lot.
Yeah,
like you have a 1, yeah,
way too steep.
a lot. Yeah, like you have a 1 in 6 chance of running into a guaranteed hard counter tier 5 drop, right? Like if you run into death, like you just can't even play it, right? Like unless you have something to buff it, you cannot play it, or it will die in right for 2 mana. And I think that really keeps a lot of armor cards from being viable, is the 1 health. But
yeah, they just, I don't know, man. It just does not seem good when a 5 mana card can just be countered by like countless 2 mana cards, or a 2 mana God Power, which is
right.
They can use that every turn. So,
exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they should change this one. Again, this could be one of those like tribe filler cards.
I guess if you could get this down and then the next turn play Hercules, that could be a monster, right? Gets +2/+2. And you'd have a 6/3 with 2 armor. Which, I mean, if you think about it, like Giant Pangolin is one mana more, and you get a 6/4 with 2 armor. So, yeah, I just don't see this being viable. Even with like a good Olympian deck, it's too expensive, and the stats are just too bad.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so we've next we've got we're at 6 mana now. The Guild Enforcer, and I've seen this played a little bit, at least in more like budget style deck. So this is a 3/4 frontline with 2 armor, and it also has the guild tag. So I don't know. Have you seen this one played at all?
I have, yeah. I've seen it in a couple decks, and it's usually a budget deck that's making up for something that's missing. Not a bad card. Super annoying. Like when I see it, my brain's just like, okay, Labyrinth card. It can't attack me. And then the next turn, it's just like killing my creatures and taking no damage, as well as being just a body that I have to deal with. 3 attack isn't oppressive. 4 health is good, and 2 armor. It's solid. I'd say it's a aggro deck nightmare, right? Because your Canopy Barrage isn't gonna deal with it, right? You're just gonna have to run it. Yeah. I think for its stats, the fact it can go into any deck, and it's a good substitute. If you're missing, like I don't know what you would substitute this for, but I've seen it in Magic and I've seen it in light decks, and it's usually really annoying.
Yeah, I would say this is like an effective 6 mana stall. So you'd probably run this in like a control deck, right? Or maybe some sort of like combo.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if you put 2 of these in your deck and you get your Catamos out, like that could just be a nightmare, right? Drawing this like on curve with an extra 2 armor on it, like good luck getting rid of it without hard removal. But yeah, it's definitely a stall card, and it's effective, so I like it. I think it's one of the better cards, neutral cards in the set.
Yeah, I do too. Again, I think you would run this in like a control list, like a specific list, but it seems good. It's not like too it's not like overpowered. It just seems fair.
Yeah, like if you compare it to the Labyrinth card, it has 1 less attack, 4 less health, but it has 1 more armor, and you can attack with it.
Right.
So like maybe if you don't want to just have like a wall that does nothing but stall, this could maybe substitute there. But yeah, I agree. It's interesting.
Pretty decent.
Yeah, decent.
Okay. Next we have the Tempest Giant. This is a 6 mana 6/6 Mystic with spell boost +1. The stats aren't great for a 6 mana, and I don't know if this spell boost +1 is all that great either, at least that late in the game.
Yeah, it's a bit expensive for the spell boost +1. Like, I think like Street Conjure, you drop it, and on that same turn you get value from the spell boost. Like this is like you drop your 6/6 body, please don't kill it, and then the next turn I play a spell. So the spell boost +1 doesn't do anything for me. Mystic Tag, big fan, but I don't know if this belongs in any other deck than Magic, so not really big fan. And I look at it and I compare it to Pious Giant, which is just so much better, right? Like the potential for a 9/9 with Ward compared to a spell boost I can use next turn. I mean, it's not horrible, but I think it's pretty mediocre.
See, even in a spell boost Magic deck, like I feel like you would just run Pious Giant over this.
Oh yeah, and Magic has so many good spell boost cards at this point. Like it's not a good selling point, like especially for how steep of a mana cost it is.
Yeah. Again, I don't know. They probably could have just made this a Magic card, but maybe they just had too many Magic cards, so they moved it to the neutral category.
Yeah, turn 7, you need your Blight Bomb to do 1 more damage. Throw down your 6/6 Tempest Giant. Hit him with the Blight Bomb.
Yeah, something like that.
Does that work? Will that give a Blight Bomb?
Know.
Okay.
I've never seen it. Maybe.
Right, I'm gonna have to try it out. Yeah.
All right, let's keep on going. I think did this card. So next we're at 7 mana already. This is the Blazing Behemoth. It's a 7/6 wild card, and it's got Blitz, Blessed, Backline, and Burn 1. This card's kind of all over the place. Like,
Yeah, I feel like whoever made it was like, let's just give it all the bees. Like, no, that's
Give it all
gonna be
the
dumb.
bees.
Like, yeah, it's Blazing Behemoth. We'll just give it all the bees. Like, right? Like,
Yeah.
it feels like a meme.
it does feel like a meme. I've never seen a card that have both Blitz and Backline either.
Yeah, neither have I. I did pull this one in Diamond also, but I don't think it's any good because it's technically a 7/5 for 7, because after turn 1 you lose a health.
Yeah.
The wild tag is nice, but I mean, I'd rather play an Oryx, right? Like charging Oryx, Giant Pangolin, Demogorgons, Ashen Drake. Like the 7 mana slot is just loaded, and I just don't think this makes a cut. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this makes a cut either. I mean, I guess if you wanted to, like, at 7 mana, blitz it into, like, a specific thing right away, but I think overall, just all those other cards you mentioned are higher value, so...
Yeah, I guess if you want an aggressive 7-drop, you're not playing Nature, so you don't get your welcome set Oryx, and you don't have Demogorgon, and you don't have Ashen Drake. Like maybe, right? Like you said, for like a blitz card that to like get something out of the way or value trade, like it could fit. But I mean, like if you're not playing Nature, like the wild tag is pretty unexceptional. Yeah, I mean it's a fun card.
It's fun. I think this is going to be a pass for most people, though.
Yeah, hard pass on that one.
Okay. Next, we have the Theban Elephant. This one is a 5/5 Olympian. We've got another Olympian card. It's got Backline, and at the end of your turn, give +1/+1 to each of your creatures. So this to me just seems like a win more card. The stats aren't that exceptional. Like this whatever you want to call it, the text on here, it's only beneficial if you have a board or somewhat of a board. So I think this card is very situational at best, and like again, compared to some of the other 7-drops in the game, it probably doesn't make the list.
Okay, I agree with you. That being said, I've run into this card 3 separate times and have lost all of the games.
What?
Yes, like when you're towards the end, and like if you're both low on resources, the elephant buffs itself, which a lot of other creatures don't, which is really annoying, and it has backline, so like you can't kill it without a spell.
I didn't realize it buffed itself. Okay, that might change
yeah,
things.
so like I mean, it's not like there are better drops like Demo or Ashen Drake, but if you're running a budget deck, like for 8 cents, like the card isn't bad. It's super annoying because like if like Death, for instance, if they have the Necroscepter and they play this on turn 7, and they trigger Frenzy, you're gonna get 2/2s, 2/2/2s plus a 6/6 with backline, right? It's just, if you don't kill it the turn it's played, and it gets 2 turns, like it just snowballs. That being said, like if you have a hard removal, it's not an issue. It doesn't have ward. The backline is annoying, and the self buffing is annoying. But I mean, it's only 3 matches. Maybe they just got lucky, you know. But
interesting take.
It's annoying. Like yeah.
Yeah, I think like, but a lot of 7 mana cards are gonna have like potential to be really good. And I think what we need to be considering are like, with 7 mana, we're probably looking at like end the game. or stall to play a win con. I guess you could argue with this that it's buffing your creatures, which is gonna push you to end the game, but it is at the end of your turn. So I guess, yeah, it really just depends on whether if you're playing this, if your opponent is able to remove it or not, because if they can't remove it, then it's probably GG.
I mean, you don't need much in front of it either, because it's gonna buff it at the end of their turn. So your turn, you're reacting. If they have 2 small creatures on the board, they're 2 slightly bigger small creatures that you have to get through to even be able to touch it because of the backline tag. Like for a budget deck, I could see this being pretty viable. Like a free-to-play player trying to build like some, maybe not a control deck, but like maybe like a mid-range deck, like on the top end, to just kind of help finish the game off. Like I can see that being pretty strong. But if you have the cards that are really good, play your demos, play your Ashen Drakes, right? What other OP 7 drops are there, right? Yeah, but for the budget player, it'll win you some games and make your opponent really mad.
Okay. Let's keep moving. We got 2 cards left, and both of them are pretty cool. So now the first one we're looking at is the City Planner. This is an 8 mana 8/8, and its roar effect: summon 2 0/6 ramparts, which is just a 0/6 front line from the core set. And I kind of like this card, but you know, I've tried this. You know, now that we're at 8 and 9 mana, we're pretty much looking at exclusively like control decks. And so my thing with this, at 8 mana, I feel like in most scenarios, the Healing Elite is probably just going to be a better choice. And because like if your opponent has creatures on the board, they're forced to run themselves into the Healing Elite, and a Healing Elite has crazy stats, so it pretty much kills everything. Now if the ramparts are 0/6s, so they don't actually kill the creatures, but there are certain scenarios where the City Planner might be better.
Yeah, I mean, like, I completely agree. So, like, if you play your Healing Elite and your opponent has 1 hard removal spell and creatures on the board,
exactly,
you're fudged, right? But if you play this, they remove your 8/8 and your 2 0/6, right? It's what, 28 points of stats for 8 mana? So, like, in that particular situation, this card would, right, keep you alive for 1 more turn, maybe getting you to your 9 mana card that you're trying to, right? That being said, yeah, the Healing Elite is just a monster, right? Like, if you don't have hard removal that drops, it's just like, gah, like, no, like, I think the mana went by so fast, I didn't realize we were already here. But, I have never seen it played.
I've seen it played a couple times, and like, I don't know, like we were saying, there are scenarios where the City Planner is better, but I think like 8 times out of 10, the Healing Elite is probably just the better pick.
Yeah. What deck did you see it in? Like, was it obviously a control deck, but like, what god were they running?
So our teammate Marty's boy really likes this card, and he had played it in a Control Deception. Okay,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it was a different kind of a Control Deception list, an experimental one, but it worked out nice because I think I was playing Death, where I usually run 1 Reap. So if someone plays a Healing Elite, I mean, you can just take care of it for 6 mana with the Reap. With this, it's like you don't. I mean,
like the APOC here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if it's going to make it into my list. It dies to Hunting Trap, right? It dies to Lightning Strike. But I guess it does have the ramparts, which help. But like you said, the Healing Elite is like, I think is the premier 8-slot choice for the control deck.
Yeah. I wouldn't be opposed to them like buffing this card somehow, because it is an epic.
Yeah. What do you have in mind? Like maybe change what it summons to something with actual damage stats.
Yeah, either that or like maybe even like 3 ramparts or 4 ramparts, because there are
Could you imagine?
cards. Yeah.
Go ahead.
What's that? What's the light card? That's an 8 mana, like Alexis or something like that. That summons all the summon acolytes.
Yeah, all the 2/2s.
Right, and that's an 8 mana. I mean, that is a legendary from the Genesis set, so I think
Yeah,
because it's Genesis, it's supposed to be a little bit better. But when you compare those two, I mean, that the light one, the Genesis light one, seems like way better.
that's true. I think he needs to schlep out 2 bronze gates, and he'll probably get more play.
Oh, that'd be kind of crazy.
Yeah, they nerfed it, so it's not too impressive, but that would be pretty, like, in the realm of possible.
I would definitely run it.
Right. Maybe that's too strong then.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a cool card. It's like cool design. I mean, there aren't like too many cards like this besides the one that I mentioned. So
Yeah,
like this.
and like if you are playing against a zoo deck, this will buy you 2 turns. It is so many stats for 8 mana, right?
Yeah, because you have like the rampart slowing them down, and then you can use your city planner to kill a creature.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not bad.
But I mean, if you're at 8 mana, the chances are that zoo deck isn't gonna win. Like, I don't know if, yeah. But
Yeah, at that point, I think the odds are in the control player's favor.
yeah, turn 7 is usually where like okay, we stabilized. Let's go. Like, I think we're pulling through here. But yeah, it's a fun card. I agree. It's interesting.
For sure. Okay. And last but not least, my favorite card from the Divine Order set. You already know what it is. A Polyhymnia, the Etheric Hydra. Now this card did get a nerf recently, so it's not completely broken.
Right.
So now we've got, it's a 9 mana, 6/12 Aether with frontline, protected, ward, armor 4, and at the end of your turn, give ward to this creature. And the previous version would also give protected and ward to your face. That's gone now, which makes this card like considerably less desirable, but I think overall it's still pretty good. I mean, it's a ton of stats. It's got the ward, the front line. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the poly after the changes?
It's not like a home base, right? Like, you're not safe. Like before, it was like, get to 9 mana, drop your poly, you get protected and ward on your face. It's like, all right, like I have 2 health, but nothing can kill me. Like that. It's not that anymore. And losing the regen, like, I don't think that was ever something that anyone really like cared about. Like, right? Like that was kind of just like an extra stat to make it look good. But like,
Yeah.
okay, I think one time I played against Clutch, and I was playing Onslaught, so it was 100 years ago, and I pulled a Hector with 2/2 buff to it from Strength in Numbers. He dropped his poly, and I hit it one turn, and I was going to go the next turn, but it regened, and he wound up killing my Hector. But so I guess that situation, the regen helped, but I that's super situational. I really like that they bumped the attack up, so they can kill each other if there's a poly on each side, right? 4 armor, so you're doing 2 damage.
Yeah. And they needed to do
protect-
that too, because I know I was stuck in a infinite match on the weekend once, and like I couldn't have been the only person. I know other people were, and like I think that's just poor game design. But anyways,
Yeah, I
go
agree.
ahead.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I was stuck too, and it feels bad because you're just there like going back and forth, like, am I gonna lose because my health is lower? Like, I don't know how these, like, because it's just like a new experience. I've never had like 2 creatures, like 2 immovable objects, right? Just like, and then you're just passing turns. I guess it doesn't count for anything from what I understand. I thought I was gonna get an L because it says defeated at the end. But yeah, they fixed that, which is good. It's not like a game ender. Like if you can do face damage with something, like you can still win.
Yeah.
It's strong, but I don't know if I run this over the other Hydra now, right? Like the other one has Blitz, Protected, Regen, and Twin Strike, and Overkill. Like I
You mean
feel like
Echophon?
Echophon, yeah. So like I don't.
Yeah.
I think Echofon's a bit more aggressive, where this is definitely just a giant front line.
Yeah, well, it depends on the situation, and like if you're going against a zoo deck with a bunch of like 2/2s or like some Vikings and stuff, I think the Hydra is gonna like, stop all of those as long as they don't have flank. But it really just depends on what's the meta looking like,
So you're playing Control Light. You only have enough space in your deck for 1/9 drop. Do you put in the Hydra or do you put in the Anvil?
The Anvil, the new Anvil.
Okay. Enough said. No, I'm just kidding. End of story. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, the 4/7s that give you order. Like, are you kidding? For 6 mana, like those are gonna be a nightmare once that deck gets sorted out.
Yeah, the Anvil is strong because like, I mean, the Anvil itself has ward, and then it's like continuously spawning those 4/7 chains at the end of each turn. So my turn and my opponent's turn. So I think the Anvil is a little bit better. But yeah, it's not a neutral card; it's a light card. So
that's true. No, you're right. This is definitely the best neutral card in the game or in the set. Yeah, not as strong as it used to be, but it's still good. Like it's still playable. And like you said, like for the type of deck you're playing, like maybe Echophone isn't what you want at your top end. You want something that's gonna like put up a wall that it's gonna be hard to get through because 4 armor is still a lot. 4 armor and 12 health is ridiculous. It's gonna take like a board wipe or some like real hard clear.
But also, like I know you were talking about Tiet a little bit, which Tiet, I might pull up a card on the screen for the video, but I think Tiet has the advantage of having way more attack. It also has the twin strike. I think it has flank.
Yeah, twin strike, flank, frontline, and word refreshes just like Poly.
Yeah. So I'd say like the two cards are really similar, with the Tiet being a little more aggressive. So
yeah,
you could make some I think you could make some arguments that Tiet might be better, but
if I have to pick between the two, I'm gonna pick Tiet, like for sure. Just as far as like I get to the end of the game, if I'm playing a control deck, chances are my hand is pretty full, and I think she gets +1/+2 for every card in your hand. So like getting her like ridiculously big isn't hard. And then like if someone plays a Poly, I don't really care. I can hit it in the face and then just flank behind it, right? Or yeah, like and just go for the kill. Yeah, so if you don't have a bunch of Genesis cards, it is still a really freaking good card. 4 armor with 12 health and frontline and protected and ward. Oh god, that's a nightmare for any zoo deck.
Yeah, and Poly is like considerably cheaper than a lot of the other like game-ending 9 drops. So.
Oh yeah, considerably. I think right now it's $33, which for a legendary that has that kind of stats, not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. The card is still incredibly strong. I know playing this week, playing against other control decks, I'm still seeing a lot of the Polys in the top end, but it's just not as broken as it was before the nerfs.
Yeah, that was rough. Like especially with Raised Dead, like playing against Board Wipe Death. Just like, okay, so if I kill it, I'm gonna have to kill it again. Yeah, I guess Deception's even worse though, because they can steal it, and then they can copy it, and then they can just ransom it if they want to. But yeah, I think it's in a good place now. But it's still like for the set S tier. I'd say for the entire game, maybe A as far as 9-drop leggies go.
I'd say, yeah, I guess an A, maybe an A+ for me.
Okay, no, yeah, for sure. I didn't want to like oversell it, but it is still really strong. Like it's gonna take a lot of resources to get through that. I like that the protected doesn't come back anymore though. That makes a big difference because that made it like just really hard to kill.
Because I mean, before like you just really couldn't clear it without a spell. I mean, maybe some decks like the Valkazax deck you could brute force it,
Yeah.
And like you were saying, on top of everything, like board wipe death players, you know, if you do clear it for whatever reason, they just bring it back with Raise Dead. So it was pretty much just like an auto end the game at 9 mana, which like maybe some people want that, the developers want that, but I don't know if that should necessarily be like a thing.
I agree. Yeah, I don't think it should be.
But yeah, I love this card personally. I think it's super cool, and if you pull this out of one of your packs, like it's definitely a reason to celebrate. The card's pretty sweet.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'd go so far as to say it's still the best leggy in the set, and the fact that it's neutral, like you can put it in any deck, which makes it even better.
Yeah, I agree, and I used to argue with Clutch. What did he say? He's like, pound for pound, like he said the old CERN was the best one in the set, but I felt like Poly was just so good.
So CERN is good. CERN is really good, but I mean, like, if you're playing against a control deck that doesn't have anything on the board, like you don't, like you get a 4/5 body, but like you don't get any of his other, like without like the single condition met, like all the other heal and then draw card, like those effects don't trigger. So like, yeah, he is definitely like really good, but I'm gonna have to go with you on this one and say Poly's just a bit better.
Yeah. What do you think about the CERN nerfs now that he's they just nerfed his attack, right?
Yeah, they took his attack down. I heard maybe it's a buff because now he synergizes really well with Asterius, right? Now he gets that buff. He gets Sanctify.
Yeah. Sanctify.
Yeah. There's a and then the new Light Dawn or Dawn of Light, whatever. If you have less than 2 health, there's a lot of less than 2 health buffs. So maybe that's good. What's the 4 mana one? It's like 2 spells. One you choose armor, health. It's a light card, but like that buffs him 2 now, right?
Yeah, it's a Divine Order card. I think it's like Benediction or something.
Yes,
like that.
Divine Benediction, maybe.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
That card's really good too.
Yeah, like so pseudo buff, pseudo nerf. Like now he gets Lights Levied, but he also can get buffed a lot more, depending on the type of deck you're playing.
I'd say it's definitely more balanced for sure. Like.
Yeah, like aggro deck to aggro deck, he feels more balanced. Like just not having a 4 mana, heal your opponent's creatures, draw them cards, and then hit you for 4 damage with 5 health, and just like.
Yeah. He was insane. Like.
Yeah, he was. But he wasn't a game ender, right? Like Poly is just like just that's it. You lost.
Yeah, Poly.
Like yeah. Like there's no counterplay, like literally none. From a zoo deck. But
sure.
yeah.
So I think, you know, I like a lot of the changes they made. Some of them, not all of them, I agree with, but I'm always open to any sort of change in this game just to like switch things up. And just because they change something doesn't mean it's gonna stay that way forever. And then also when they release new sets, sometimes changes that might have appeared like bad, then they just become better because of like new cards that are introduced into the game.
Right, I completely agree. It's nice to mix it up every once in a while, and yeah, like it's nice to see the balanced team being more proactive, which I think is great. Good for the game.
It is, because they let that war stuff go on way too long.
Yeah. That being said, there was a lot of complaint that war wasn't. I think they had the lowest win rate, and that team, they just flipped that right around. Balanced out those stats. They listened to the people and just gave like kind of overfilled what they wanted, met the goal, and then exceeded it. But I guess like
they gave the people what they wanted, and then the people are upset about it.
Like, hold on, we don't want this anymore. Like, please no more. And they're like, nope, you get more. You complained for a whole year. Here's a little bit more. Like, you didn't like yeah. I'm kidding. But I know they're working on a lot of stuff, and I personally big fans of the team. Yeah, they made this game and they've done so well keeping it alive. There's a lot of projects that have died from 2017 to now that just don't exist, and the fact that they worked through the bear market, built out a layer 2, and are still going, We got gods tokens, IMX, retroactive flux drops. Like
Oh, they're
they have
killing.
been so good to us, right? They have been. So GU team, I love you. Take your time balancing. We know you'll do it. Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, dude, thanks for coming on. Was there anything else you want to talk about?
When staking, right? When staking pool. Do you have any info on that?
I don't have information on the staking pool, but I do know they announced the Forge, because that's been a popular question for a while.
That's right.
Forge, they said Forge is coming by the end of the year, so it's gonna be like 2 months tops, and you'll be able to forge your core cards and then sell them on the marketplace if you want. So
that's gonna be so good. That will be good for the game, right?
it will be.
Like it'll give an outlet for gods tokens opposed to just selling them, like actually being able to use them. But then all the new players that are coming in, like core cards are so expensive. Like the fact that the price will come down is good, right? It's healthy. Like, you know, you want a lightning strike, you don't have to pay $50. You can pay $5 or you can pay $3, whatever it comes down to. Like, I'm excited for it. I think everybody's excited for it. That's just a whole new play to earn mechanic that's just coming together on top of the play to earn event that's going on. So bullish, so excited. It's hard to not be just hyped all the time. Like I'm just like, yeah. I sound pretty like melancholy, like calm, but like on the inside, like I'm freaking jacked. Like I'm just like, let's go. So excited.
Yes, sir. It's a good time to be a Gods Unchained player.
Awesome.
Well, all right, guys. Yeah. So make sure you check SamBam out on Twitch. He's been killing it recently with the streams. Like, what's your streaming schedule like right now, SamBam?
Monday through Friday, I go from 8:30 Pacific Standard Time in the morning to anywhere from 2:30 to 5, depending on how it's going. Lately, I've been doing 8-hour shifts, but like I'm scheduled for like 6. I'm just trying to get as much in while I can. It's crazy the player growth and just the community's like really cool, and it's actually like fun. It makes playing the game more fun, just kind of having people to hang out with while I play it. And then on Saturday I do a night stream, and Sunday I take a break because I have to do grocery shopping and adult things.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for the shout out.
No problem. We'll have a link. I'll put a link for that in the description too. So all you guys check SamBam out. He's a great player. Like, it's been a real pleasure watching you stream and like just sticking to the schedule and overall killing it, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just working on being consistent, right? Like just like sticking to what I've set for myself. But yeah, thanks for having me on. Like, this was a lot of fun. I wasn't sure. Like, I was kind of nervous, but yeah, you're such a chill guy. Yeah, and you know a lot about the game. So anyway, thank you.
And thank you. And with that being said, we're gonna wrap stuff up here. So until next time, peace.